Hello everyone. I forgot Atari again. Sorry, Atari. This is particularly relevant. Oh yeah, I gotta edit my Ko-fi thing too. Hold on, let me go do that really quick. One second. I gotta do some math. I can't do math. Also, hi, Jace. Nice. Okay, we're still at 100% of our 1500 goal, so I would like to say a massive thank you before I start stream. It says appetite editing costs, but to be honest, that is all going to go into Fatal Mechanisms now. So thank you very much to literally everyone who has donated or purchased commissions or supported this goal in any way. You are amazing. I really do appreciate it a lot. And I won't have a current goal on Ko-fi now because, you know, we don't need it. So that's amazing. I'm going to remove the goal, and if something else comes up, then we'll go for it at that time. But as of right now, we're good. So nice, very nice, everyone. Good work. Go team. All right, so now I gotta get bunkered down. I don't know. I don't know. Eyeballs deep in this. So we're gonna start on some line editing and some developmental editing, and cry, and that's how this is gonna go. I'm gonna read this aloud so that way I have the best chance at editing it. So yeah, I hope that you guys all enjoy. And if I see anything that I need to insert, I'm going to. There's probably going to be some heavy editing that's going on because I realized I was afraid of word count. Right now this is like 120,000 words, but to be honest, I can very likely just increase it and it'll be good. It'll be fine. So, all right. Let me see here. Okay. An explosion of sound reverberated around me, and I closed my eyes to attempt to calm my heart and my hands, which shook inside the confines of the tight coat they stuck me in. Someone near me slammed their hands against the safety glass, and my body flexed, reverberation echoing through everything. I squeezed my mouth closed so all sounds bounced around my head like words through foam. I'm gonna say ocean foam instead here. I dared not open my mouth again. Every single body and being in the hall whooped and yelled as someone passed. They always did. After I felt the reverberations calming and the noise slowing, I opened my mouth a crack beneath the fabric that covered my face. Sounds came through crisp and clear, and a stranger next to me paced back and forth, the clop-clop of their stride a pick to my head. I'm gonna double check. I need to do some research really fast. I need to double check that this is correct from a science standpoint. Hearing mechanism, yes, I know. They have an inner ear, an operculum or plectrum complex, a unique auditory system involving the operculum and the plectrum. On the operculum is a small bony plate connected to the shoulder girdle via muscles, while the plectrum connects to the inner ear. They are generally sensitive to lower frequency sounds, which is more common. They detect vibrations through skin's bone and the environment. I really need to know, if a salamander opens its mouth, can it hear better? That's the question that I need to ask. Okay, so in other words, opening or closing a mouth does not significantly improve a salamander's ability to hear. Okay. So let me see. I need to know how a salamander would make sounds less loud. That's the next step. I mean, water. Reducing surface contact. Muscle tension. Interesting. Okay, so let me look at this then. This is going to be a big part of this too. I'm going to change this instead. Or wait. Hold on. I'm wondering if she has her hands covered. Oh no, she can't. She can't touch the wall. That's what I thought. Okay, never mind. Back it up. Okay, so now we have, after I felt the reverberations calming and the noise slowing, I placed my shoulder firmly on the wall. Actually, you know what? I don't even need that. Okay, sounds came through crisp and clear, and a stranger next to me paced back and forth, the clop-clop of their stride a pick to my head. Son of a fucking bitch, he muttered. Who the fuck does he think he is, striding through here like he... Fuck! Just fuck! He slammed his fist into the wall and his knuckles bounced off the metal. He swore more and paced around, every step adding to my anxiety. I opened my eyes slowly, hoping that the worst of the noise had passed, to find him slamming his fist against the safety glass again. Please stop, I asked, my voice a whisper compared to everything. I shuddered, timid. I hoped he would not come and hit me for speaking up as everyone else had, and I flinched when he crouched next to me, cocking his head to the sides to toy with me. He crouched on hooved feet, and his wide forehead housed two dark, angry-looking eyes. Oh, so it speaks, he barked. He slammed his fist into the wall next to my head, sending waves of sound through my frail body. He laughed at my weakness and spat at my feet. I'll stop when Sakita comes back here and lets me out. Hi, Cal. How are you today? Welcome in. We're working on fatal mechanisms today. He spun and began to shout through the glass again, so I closed my mouth to mute the sound. I watched him for hours, the banging, the banging, the banging. A few times, officers that looked like him walked by, plasma sticks in their hands and V-shaped spiraling horns on their heads, but they did not look him in the eye. I thought I saw guilt. After a few hours of this, he finally lay down on the upper bunk in our cell and slept. Sleepy, kind of just curled up in bed. Oh, well, I hope you have a comfy time. I'm also exhausted. We legit finished moving everything out of the other apartments today, so I am free of the sin, and now I can just work and not worry about it too bad. So thank God. I'm very excited. Yippee, no more, yippee, no more sin. Woo, yeah, it's a good time. Hydrate, I'm drinking a boba. I got a pina colada slush boba. Lychee popping boba inside. I had no perception of time. No way to tell the sun, or to see the sun. So I began to make count of the guards. They walked by in pairs, 2 of them like the being in my cell. The other 2 I did not recognize. My mind traced back through the last day, and I desperately attempted to remember my way out of this place. My eyes moved around the cell, taking in the 4 metal walls and barred door. The transparent safety glass beyond the bars was smudged and grungy from my cellmate hitting it, and a few slots in the material opened to the outside. Another slot decorated the far wall across from me, a bowl with water in it installed next to that. I wondered if it was for drinking or something else. The 2 beds sat behind me, one on top of the other, and I was about to move to the door to check what the outside of the cell looked like when my train of thought broke. My cellmate awoke from his disturbed sleep as food slid through the slot in the wall, the scrape of metal on metal as loud as a great tree falling in a silent wood. My cellmate leapt to his feet, rushing to get his share, the only food we had seen all day. I swallowed, remembering the last thing I had eaten, a soft-shelled crab at home, and my face contorted in anguish. He crouched in the corner, shoveling bland-looking paste into his mouth with a thin piece of bread. It smelled cold. When he finished this, he looked at me as I had not moved. The men with guns had stuck me in a wrap that covered my entire body head to toe and pulled my hands across my chest in a forced cocoon. They wrapped my tail also, and my face, the only clue to my identity a slit that revealed my eyes. I could not move to eat, let alone get the food in my mouth. "Take it," I muttered, jerking my head in the direction of my food, and he scrambled for it, gladly taking a second helping. "How is it?" I hoped I could prevent him from returning to banging by inviting him to civil conversation. "Cold, bland, and grainy," he huffed as he jammed the trays back into the slot. "Utter shit. Unfortunate." He cocked his head and grinned at me with thick, even teeth. "Sorry state you're in." My forehead twitched. "I would ask you to get me out, but I wouldn't want to get you in trouble." "How sweet of you." He spat, sliding to sit on the cold floor. I couldn't do it even if I wanted to. He held up his hands to me, which consisted of 2 large, hooved toes and a thumb. "I'm bad with zippers." I chirped despondently and gazed at the scratches he made in the wall. "I suppose they would not have put me in here with you if you could." "What's your classification?" "My what? Classification? What are you?" "Strelin." "Oh, never heard of that." He quipped and scooted closer to me. His hot breath blew through the fabric that covered my neck as he sniffed me. "Your people can speak? Just on their own, no enhancements?" "Well, yes, are we speaking now?" "I'm just surprised they found something the Zomarane haven't fucked with yet. Why are you all wrapped up like that?" "I can kill people if they touch me. My skin, I mean." He scuttled back from me quicker than he approached me. He spun and began to slam on the wall again, shouting, Hey, get me out of here! What kind of fucking joke is this?" "Hey," I said, unable to raise my voice above the shouts. "Shush, now. They wouldn't have put me in here if you could get hurt." "Maybe that's what they want," he growled as he sat again. "I was just doing my job. I mean, come on." "What's your name?" "Babali." "You?" "Drema." "Well, Drema," he said as he watched 2 guards pass, "I hope you die early." The only indication of nighttime came... I'm going to add a line here. "The suffering ends quicker that way." The only indication of nighttime came when they shut the main overhead lights off, and only the illuminated walkways danced their lights up and down the hallway. My eyes adjusted to the darkness, and I watched 2 new sets of guards walk the pace below. My eyes saw many floors through the smudged glass, at least 2 or 3 below where I sat, and at least 2 above. I'm going to change this line editing. All around me were cells and cells only. Below, doors led to unknown contents. That's better. I suspected all would be quiet when, quite unexpectedly, Babali woke in the night and came to stand by me. "You're awake?" I asked. "Yeah. You can't sleep?" "I typically sleep during the day." "Man, sucks for you. What are you doing up?" "It's almost time." "For what?" "What mode? What? What?" Or actually, I think that's panic mode. This is what mode. There you go. Thanks, Jays. I heard the thump of shuffled footsteps down the hallway and could see someone move, cell by cell. They weren't a guard. He held no gun. Actually, interesting story about how I could go... Actually... There we go. They held no gun, and they wore the same jumpsuit as Babali. A guard escorted them, and soon they passed in front of our cell. The man in uniform opened the square front of our safety glass with an electronic key. The guard turned his back as the stranger leaned in the new hole and bared his teeth in a grin, long and sharp. "Well, well, well," he sneered, his voice a grating cheep. "Look who it is! You shut your trap, Flyby." Babali spat and grabbed the man, apparently called Flyby by the jumper through the plastic hole. The guard behind Flyby turned and jammed Babali in the chest with a stick. Babali reeled. Flyby... Oh, that's a typo. Flyby cackled and rattled his head from side to side in delight, his skin and fur dark in even the darker blackness. His lemon eyes almost glimmered as he smiled into our cell. "Not so strong without your mech, Babali? If you're gonna be mean, I can just go." No, wait. Babali choked, clutching at his chest. "I've got codes." Flyby cooed and walked his fingers back across the sill of the hole, each finger nearly a foot long, much longer than my fingers. "How many?" "2. I want to calm for him." "You forget, Babali, that while you're in there and I'm out here, I make the rules. I'll take your 2 codes, but I will give you only a pack of smokes in return. A calm will cost you more." Babali slammed his hand again, sending a bang as loud as a drum down the hall. "You bastard! Bye-bye now!" Flyby sang as he walked away. "I don't have time for bullshit." Flyby sauntered to the next cell, and Babali slid to the floor next to me as the small square hole to freedom was promptly locked up. "Who is he?" I asked. "That's Flyby." Babali huffed. "He's our in-house trader, and you get comms and soap and smokes from him, among other things. He's pissed at me because last month I busted one of his main clients who got put in solitary for having and shuffling shivs. He doesn't like it when people step on his toes. I should have known better. He's a prisoner." "Yeah. And that guard let him out of his cell?" "Yeah. Have you never been in here before?" "Just got here this morning." "Well, shit." Babali shifted in the night. "You'll learn." "What do you mean by busted?" "I turned him in to another officer. I used to be on the outside." "What happened?" "After I busted the guy for the shivs, Flyby planted some false documents claiming that I've been turning a blind eye to the illegal behavior in here. General Sakita didn't take too kindly to that, and here I am." Babali stood and lay back down on his bunk. "You should try to sleep. You're going to have to change your sleep schedule. They don't care if you're nocturnal." The night blurred into the morning, and they shoved more food through the slot for breakfast. Babali ate his and mine without asking, and I felt the knot of pain growing inside me. With nothing to do inside the cell, I watched Babali relieve himself in the bowl of water and then pick at a screw for an hour. "So are you male, female, or otherwise?" he asked. "Female. Make sure you don't let anyone know that. You'll have 8 dicks in you before you can say Gasperi Aerospace. When you get out of here, anyway." "They'll all die." "They'll die," was all I said. "Not before they do damage." "Are there no other females in here?" "If they can help it," Babali replied. "There used to be another transport unit for female species, but Eclipse decided that they didn't care if everyone was in the same space. It's not the officer's job to keep prisoners from shagging each other anyway." "Tell me about yourself." I changed the subject. "It's boring in here. I'm a poor orator, so I didn't make it into ITI." "What's that?" "Intergalactic Technical Institute. My family wanted me to get into computer science. For the pursuit and all that. I didn't even pass the entrance exam." "I'm sorry." "I'm not," he laughed. "Fuck ITI. I'm glad I got into the academy instead. It's Eclipse military." "You wanted to work here?" I felt a sour taste creep into my mouth. "No, I wanted to fight for Eclipse as a pilot, but they needed officers here instead. So I got shuffled to the Fin. It was a nice job. I just should have never fucked over Flyby." I let my head fall against the wall and licked my lips. "Rebbe Pahem, I'm hungry." "Maybe they'll give you food, maybe they won't. I don't know how they expect me to eat. Or to eat it. Maybe at dinner I could..." Babali was interrupted by the sharp rap of a stick against the safety glass, and I looked up to see a guard of his same type and another, a human, unlocking the door. "Put your hands behind your head and face the wall," the human barked. I got it. Babali turned and did as he was asked while one guard lifted me from the ground. "I have to relieve myself," I said as he pulled me from the cell. "I also haven't eaten." "Shut up," the guard barked, and the cell door shut behind me. We walked down a long hall past row after row of closed cells, the guard dragging me. I looked down to the space below and eyed dozens of other prisoners playing games, exercising, and lounging about. I wondered what I had done to deserve total confinement, what I would have given for fresh air. I attempted to remember everything I saw. The walk we traversed went in a square, each cell outfitted for 2. Species of all types inhabited these cells, most I had never seen. The guards took me to a platform that traveled up and down, and we went up, my knees buckling from the force. The platform was operated by electric keys held by each officer, the same used to open the cells. After the platform jerked to a stop, we arrived at a large floor that housed metal objects and equipment I had never seen. Most doors were closed, but the ones open revealed contents of beds and machines and people in protective coats and masks. We walked the length of the floor until finally we reached a door at its far end, which opened again by card. Inside, none of the other noises of the prison penetrated the pure white walls, and 2 guards in armor, faces covered and robotic, stood adjacent to a white chair, whose back was to me. The officer sat me in another chair, saluted, and then left. The guards in front of me, in Testex red and black, gripped their weapons tightly, and I shook in my bonds. I can actually... bye. "Arca 1, can you open the window, please?" The voice behind the chair said. The guard on the right, with no words and no hesitation, turned and touched the wall where a panel illuminated. They slid a slider down as if by magic, and the white wall behind the chair faded to reveal the galaxy's great expanse. I blinked in the hard light of the neighboring stars and looked out upon the rocks that floated by. I was in space. I hadn't been aware, as the transport that took me from my home had no windows, and neither did my cell. I almost wanted to cry. It was so beautiful. I sat in my awe for a moment until the beeping of electronics pulled me from it. I took in a deep breath, shaken by the whole thing. "One moment," the voice behind the chair said as the guard returned to his place. The beeping continued for a moment more, and then the chair spun around to reveal a man. I thought he was a human at first, but I was wrong. He pushed his hair away from his face and tucked it behind the horns that circled his head in a crown as he looked down at his tablet, then up at me with startling eyes, one brown and one as blue as ice. He looked me over, and I heard the door click behind me as if it locked. Arkatu, can you take the restraints off of them, please? The other guard lifted me from my chair and began to undo the clasps on my back. The man in the chair laced his fingers under his chin and watched as the guard undressed me, unwrapping my tail, folding my arms behind my back, and then finally pulling the mask from my head. The garment dropped to the floor and I stood naked in this room of white. The guard's armor protected him from my skin, which inhaled the air after being suffocated for nearly 2 days. My shoulders tensed as I covered myself from his eyes. Actually, the man in the chair's eyes. Beautiful. The man muttered under his breath. And with his tablet, he began to photograph me from all angles, his guards lifting even the underside of my tail and capturing the space between my legs. He never touched me, and once he was seemingly done, he returned to his chair. Female, it seems. I can confirm General Tychus's original estimation. Kokirju, also. You have beautiful skin. I gulped, and my hands curled into fists, both because I was cold and also out of fear. He hadn't seen me respond, so he glanced up at me. Well? Oh, are you cold? Arco 1, turn up the heat in here, please. We don't want her freezing to death. The first guard touched the wall again, and a jet of hot air hit me, relaxing my muscles enough that I could uncurl my fists. He pulled a long ponytail, nearly as long as his own body, from behind his shoulder to sit more comfortably, and as he did so, his white hair darkened and faded to the deepest black I had ever seen. He twitched his nose as he looked at his notes, and then up once again at me. Arkatu, can you get a mucus sample for me, please? The guard near me held up an arm, and his chest unfolded, revealing a tray and equipment. He ran a soft white stick over my arm, stuck it in a jar, and then set that jar on the man's desk. Do you speak trade? Can you even understand me? Yes, I said, the room amplifying my voice. Impressive. Where did you learn? I studied under an Eclipsean soldier that first visited my home. A human captain, he had said. You speak incredibly well. Thank you. Are you toxic? Yes. He approached me and looked me in the eyes. Gloved hands folded delicately behind his back. He stood far taller than me. You smell like a lake, he noted. Do you have a name? Drema. I am General Sakita. Do you know who I am? I have heard your name, but no. I run this place. I am the authority here. Do I have permission to ask questions? I asked. Back home, all Striolan were free to say anything on their minds, but I knew Eclipse. If you said anything wrong to them, they would beat you for it. I had seen it happen. Of course you do, how polite. General Sakita moved to his table, and a glass of water rose from inside it. He took a sip and then sat on the table's smooth white surface. Why am I here? We had questions. By we, I mean Eclipse, of course. No one has visited your planet save a few scouts, and we would love to get to know you better. Perhaps my imprisonment had been a mistake. He laced his fingers over his knee, his body draped head to toe in a black Eclipsean uniform. I remembered the first Eclipsean soldier I had met back home and how charming he had been until his fleet came and began to overstay their welcome. They had little regard for the state of our property and our lifestyle and left their foreign trash all through our forests. Here, he said as he reached under his desk, pulling out a blanket. Please, have a seat. He laid the blanket down on the chair, and I did as I was asked. After I had taken a seat, he pushed my chair closer to the table. I haven't been able to eat or relieve myself. Is there any way I can forego the restraints and choose something else? Of course. Let me get you something that will keep the toxin off everything and keep you warm. He typed into the tablet and then touched the table, causing a tray to flip onto its surface. Arco 1, will you get me a sterile tool set, please, and local anesthetic? Arco 1 approached the table to give General Sakita what he had asked for. The guard's chest opened to reveal a semi-translucent bag and a clear tube with goo inside it, which General Sakita set onto the table. Your people are very polite and obedient, he said, and I thank you for that. I'd like to examine your hands, if that's all right. I reluctantly set my hand on the table near his leg, and he stood using his gloved hand to raise my webbed fingers one by one. Then he used the tube to squirt goo onto my smallest finger on my left hand, spreading it all along the surface of my skin, front and back. You're fascinating, he continued. We're going to learn a lot from you. Is it true that your people can regenerate limbs? Regenerate? Regrow. Pardon me. If I ever say anything you don't understand, please stop me. He unrolled the plastic bag and began to lay out shiny medical tools I had never seen before. Yes, we had a member of our tribe who was skewered through the heart by the great fish Teyug. Yes, content warning, good idea. Yep, if you don't want to listen to this, there is medical mutilation. It's very mild, but just in case you don't want to be squicked out by medical gore, stop listening. Scroll away for a second. You know that moment when you like just swallow an entire piece of like jelly whole? Hold on. I almost died. Okay. She regrew her heart and survived. I myself have lost an eye to infection. His head snapped to me, and he watched my eyes follow his face. And you are not blind. No. Incredible. He placed his gloved hand gently on my wrist. Arca 2, get me some bandages, please. In one swift movement, he raised a knife from the table and chopped directly through the littlest finger on my left hand. I believe it was her left hand earlier, actually. My bad. Yeah, it was. Also, content warning now for this part. Or actually, nope, cancel that, so we're all good. Content warning over. Content warning is done for everyone in the chat. I sat in a corner of my cell watching Babali slowly pick stray threads off of his mattress. Okay, so actually, you know, I feel like that chapter is pretty good. So now, before we go any further, we're going to do phase 3 of the editing. Which is kind of annoying, but we're going to do some basic proof editing as well, so that way when I pass this on to my next editor, it's not going to suck. I'm actually gonna dismiss that. This can go. Preposition there, apparently, or an article. We need another article. I don't need this. Honestly, the worst is leapt versus leaped. I use British English almost 90% of the time, and now I'm like, why did I end up like this? IB really dicked me. Oh, I guess that's fair. Where is it? That's just a typo. That in here, that's fine, I'll accept that too. That's a typo too. Extra apostrophe. That's a typo. This is my least favorite part. Oh, and there's traveled. This is gonna haunt me until the day I die. The British English is really gonna fuck with me until I go into my grave. I don't know why I ended up doing this. I guess I can remove that, that's fine. Yay, commas. Editing is gross. But I want this draft to be done, you know? Like, it just needs to be done. Comments, yay! There. That's a dialogue thing. All right, cool. Nice. All right, on to chapter 2. All right. I sat in the corner of my cell watching Babali slowly pick stray threads off his mattress. A full suit of cloth now covered my body with gloves and a tube for my tail. The white, scratchy cloth irritated my skin, which constantly produced a layer of hydrating slime. It clung to me, making it hard for me to breathe, and the wraps around my face made my heart race from fear. I knew I was in no danger. The fear of suffocation was a false one, encouraged by my own personal discomfort. The fear of dehydration, though, was a real one. I felt my finger growing back in the glove of the suit. I'm gonna do a little bit more research here. Oh, cool. They can grow back a finger in 2 months. Science! Science, Meredith! Science! Alright. And just for the sake of cool science, it's going to go a little bit faster than that, but I just want to make sure it's not unbelievable. I felt my finger growing back in the glove of the suit. I had not felt General Sakita cut through my finger thanks to whatever goo he had used, but now the pain crept back like a fog over a marsh. Typically, small injuries like this one took one tri-moon cycle to heal, and I would have to wait to regain full use of my finger. Oh, so that's accurate. Good job, me. I did research. Look at me, past me. The burning clawed its way up my arm, a prickling, tingling feeling I knew would not cease until the finger had returned entirely. General Sakita's guards stuffed me into this new suit after he so graciously cut off my finger. The guards, the two metal men, then threw me into my cell again with a mask over my face. Yes, Sakita had given me the ability to use my hands, but not my mouth. Babali could have cared less. When I hit the wall of the cell, the metal reverberated and crashed, but he stood motionless. The night passed without incident, and he did not speak a word. Now he picked at the mattress and did not even look at me. I attempted to pull the cloth from my face, but found that my gloved hands were too slippery to pull the fabric from my sticky skin. I growled in frustration and attempted again, only to accidentally hit myself in the face. Babali, I muttered. He said nothing, did nothing. He tossed away a piece of lint. Babali, please. Please what? He snapped. I'm thirsty and cannot drink. Could you pull this scarf from my face so I can have a cup of water? No way, girlie. If I slip and accidentally touch you with my hand, I'm done. Your hooves won't... No. Please, fat chance. I heaved a sigh and dropped my forehead against the glass of the cell. Across the walk, I saw guards making rounds, opening doors and letting prisoners out into the central courtyard below. Flyby, the trader I saw the day before, wandered down the walk, offering people his goods. What are they doing? I asked. The guards. It's free time, Babali said. Everyone can go into the yard and exercise, play chips, whatever. Oh, that's good. I thought we'd be stuck in here forever. The door to our cell opened as the guards came around to our side, and I rocked myself to standing. Babali pushed his way in front of me and stepped out of the cell. I came to follow, but a guard who looked like Babali slammed a plasma stick into my chest. The wind rocketed from my lungs. Or let's see, how do I want to write this sentence? This one needs a rework here. There we go. The wind rocketed from my lungs at the sudden shock, and I stumbled back. Ouch! Not you, the guard said, and simply shut the door. I ran at the door as it closed and rammed it with my shoulder. The guard waved me off, and I slid to the floor, hungry and thirsty. Minutes passed, and Flyby wandered his way down the hall, stuffing items into his pockets. I scrambled to my feet and tapped on the glass with my foot. Hey! I shouted. Wait! Flyby, his back to me, paused and rocked back in my direction, dancing his way over to the little glass slot. This slot sat at the top of the square opening the guard had unlocked with a key, but Flyby had no key. He said nothing for a moment and then cocked his head at me. Poor little thing, he cooed. All stuck in here by yourself. Why is that? I don't know, I moaned. I'm thirsty and no one will listen to me. Who put you in that lovely coat? Flyby rested his thin arms on the small, clear ledge beyond the opening and then his chin on his arms. General Sakita. He cut my finger off and stuffed me in here. Well, so a war criminal you must be to deserve such torture. I don't think so. He was nice to me for a moment, but Flyby erupted into laughter and rattled his head back and forth. First mistake, little thing. General Sakita is never nice. What do you do here? Babali said you trade goods? Not supposed to, but do. I have money cards, sweet smoke shivs, but something tells me you are interested in none of those things. You are able to walk freely because of this? No, I am able to walk freely because I will use my fingers to claw the eyes out of anyone who says no to me, guards included. I adjusted my shoulders under my coat. Can you talk to the guards for me? Now, why would I want to go and do a thing like that? You have nothing to trade. Flyby strolled away like a king, chirping out a tune of a song I did not know. I could barely see the yard below me, prisoners free and wandering around or about, and I envied them. Babali came back at dinner. My stomach lurched as I remembered that I was now going on 3 days without food. Food came through the slot, and Babali ate it all. Once Babali had finished, he was about to send the trays back into the slot when the hall erupted with sound. I closed my mouth and buried my head in my knees as prisoners shouted, banged, and slammed. The sound traveled like a wave as whoever passed walked slowly down the hall. I could hear the electrical noise of a guard's plasma stick shocking a prisoner through the hole in the glass. The sound bounced through walls and through my head like thunder. The sound finally stopped as it neared me, and the silence sent a wave of relief through my body. Babali coughed, and I lifted my eyes to look at him. Then I realized what he called attention to. General Sakita stood, flanked by his 2 metal men, outside of our cell. "Drema, would you mind coming with me, please?" he said, voice as smooth as butter. Or let's see. Drema doesn't really consume butter, so I'm going to swap this for a different word. They don't really do dairy. Yeah, that's good. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. Okay, better. They don't got butter because they don't got cows. I mean, I guess you can make, like, butter from, like, goats and stuff. They don't got that either. I stood slowly, my knees trembling. Losing a finger was not the worst thing that had ever happened to me. My brothers and sisters got their fingers snapped off by turtles or by crabs all the time. I wondered what he had in store, and I hoped it was nothing worse than what I had already endured. The guards unlocked the cell. Babali resumed his usual position with his back to the guards and his hands on the wall, and one guard grabbed me. They pulled me out of the cell and slammed the door behind me. We walked the long walk back to the platform that carried us up to General Sakita's room, and as we walked, the entire facility fell silent. Instead of screaming and hollering, inmates stared at me as I passed, slack-jawed. I appreciated the silence, but feared the response. Up we went, my knees weak from lack of food, and we passed the people in white and rooms with machines into his office once again. He sat me down in the same chair while he took to his own and motioned to one of his metal men. "Arkatu, can you please fetch dinner?" The man turned and marched from the room while the other guard stood at attention, still as a statue. General Sakita stood and operated his window on his own, lifting the shade. I expected to see the bright light of the stars again, but instead was shown something I recognized. The window revealed a dense, marshy swamp with mushrooms as tall as I was, and huge, glimmering testecs, winged beasts of the air, hummed and buzzed. This is an unnecessarily long sentence. Jesus. Huge, glimmering testecs, winged beasts of the air, hummed and buzzed overhead. Under the water, great fish swam, their scales dancing in the light. Home. "So this is where you're from?" General Sakita asked. "I did some research this morning. Our ground teams on Eklutania took these photographs and sent them to me. Your planet is beautiful and full of life." "Yes, that is my home," I replied. "Calgasio." "How is your finger?" "It heals." "Good. And your pain?" "Bearable." "You do feel pain, don't you? I was not sure how strong your nerves were given your relatively understudied physiology." "I do. I apologize for any pain I may cause." The door to the room clicked and hissed as it opened again, and Arkatu marched in with a plate of food. He set it in front of me, and my tongue danced in my mouth. I recognized the food. River fish we called chede, and a water vegetable called sodebebe. On top were herbs and nuts from my home village. My stomach grumbled, and my eyes did not leave the plate. I hoped he would not eat it in front of me. Arca 2 placed a cloth and some kind of plastic device in front of General Sakita's chair. He turned when the guard returned to his position next to the window. He sat and flicked an eyebrow when he saw I was not eating. "Well?" he asked. "Aren't you hungry?" I faltered. "I can't get the mask off my face." "Oh, mercy," General Sakita said as he moved to me, gently pulling the mask away from my face. "Complications. The fabric on my hands causes my fingers to slip." "Well, then," he said as he unclasped the mask from behind my face. "Let's make a deal. Do you promise, and I mean absolutely promise, that you won't bite anyone or headbutt any of my guards? I'll give you gloves that will allow you to take this mask off when needed." His eyes glimmered, and he held his hands for just a moment behind my head, waiting for my response. "I promise," I said. "Good girl." He pulled my mask from my mouth and let it hang around my neck. As soon as General Sakita had sat back in his chair, I grabbed a piece of raw, sliced fish and gobbled it down. The meat was fatty and sweet on my tongue, and my stomach cried out in thanks as I ate. While I ate, saying nothing, General Sakita picked up the plastic thing from his towel, took out the metal tip on the device, and jammed it into his neck. The device hissed and a green light flashed when the noise stopped. He dabbed at his neck with the towel, stopping blood from dripping over onto his coat. I finished my plate and wiped my gloved hands on my pants. They were oily from the fish, but otherwise had not been stained. "Did you enjoy it?" General Sakita asked. "Yes, thank you. Just like home." "Glad to hear it. Arca 2, can you get her a different pair of gloves, please?" Arca 2 gently took the gloves from my hand and handed me new, scratchier ones from his chest compartment. "I'll be sending meals like it your way from now on," General Sakita continued. "If that oaf in your cell tries to take it from you, I give you explicit permission to bite the hell out of him." Arca 2 stood and escorted me away. I could not hide the shock on my face as the door to General Sakita's office hissed closed behind me. Content warning again. For medical torture, I'm dropping that in there. If you don't want to listen to it, please scroll away now. Mute the stream. As we walked together down the hall, this stone-faced guard and I, the silence broke with a scream. I looked into one of the white rooms through a tiny window to see a small, rat-like creature crying out in what I could only assume was pain. One of the people, a human in medical clothing, held the thing down as it spit fire. I had never seen anything like it. The human jammed something into the little creature's throat. Only then did the animal lie still. It was then that the human went to the table to retrieve the same device General Sakita had used to cut my finger off. The human sliced into the creature, pulling an organ out of it while it twitched there. I turned my eyes away as Arca 2 led me back onto the platform. My entire body tensed, fear immobilizing my every limb, and I locked up, forcing Arca 2 to lift me by my arms and drag me back down the hall, or the walk to the cell. I fell into my own head, and the blood, the guts of the creature upstairs, sat at the forefront of my mind's eye. I thought of the delicious meal, or actually, I guess content warning for that being over, I guess. I thought of the delicious meal I just had, and my missing finger. The burn searched its way into my elbow and up into my upper arm. The inmates stared in total silence as I moved past them, as if they were astonished that I had made it back alive. Did they think I was alive? Arca 2 opened the door for me and respectfully set my paralyzed body onto the bed. We called this Yobe, this state. The grief froze me, and I lay statuesque, unable to open my eyes and escape the hell I inhabited. Fish, guts, screaming, fire, fish, guts, screaming, fire, fish, guts, screaming, fire. My body refused to budge. At home, if I were to be attacked by a Teb or Dolce, I would lay down and lock up just as I was. My brain would run through every mistake I had made to get me to that point, and everything about the creature I should fear before it ate me, hoping that by laying motionless dead, it would leave me alone. The rigidity began to make me ache, as it always did. Some of the members of my tribe at home had been locked in night terrors once, waking, unable to move because of our Yobe. It was painful, but it kept us alive. In my collapse, I heard Babali take a deep breath, and the door of the cell click as the Arca left. He moved slowly to me, and I felt dizzy as my lungs refused to breathe. Let's see. Babali poked me gently. Actually, this is fine. Babali poked me gently with one of his hooves, startling back when I did not move, and I waited for the spell to pass. I attempted to forget the guts and the fire and remember something I loved. The cool feeling of the water on my skin as my friends and I floated along a river on a hot day. I remembered my home, my mother. Babali nudged me again, and as the yobe let up, I inhaled, taking my first breath in minutes. Babali stumbled away and retreated into the corner, afraid I was going to hurt him. She lives. It's just yobe, I gasped as I regained myself. My head spun and I grabbed onto the post of the bottom bunk for support. When I'm afraid, my body locks up. It has kept me alive once or twice back home.
So what happened? Babali asked. What did he take from you?
Nothing, I said as I sat, trembling. The echoes of the creature upstairs screamed out in my head, and I shut my mouth to mute them only to realize they were produced by my imagination.
He didn't take your skin off? Break your bones? Pull your teeth?
Babali asked as he peered around me, checking for injury.
No. Then why are you so shaken up?
I saw a creature up there, something small and breathing fire, and a human in all white pulled something from its throat after cutting it open. It screamed out in pain, and they wouldn't stop.
Oh, hey, Ghost, what's up?
My mom became a genius for coming up with the power for one of my characters. That is fantastic. I love it when that happens. Welcome into the stream. We're doing some line editing on a science fiction that I'm working on. Good to see you, my friend.
Oh yeah, the U-Bulk. That's pretty standard treatment for them. They breathe methane, and their glands in their throat combust the methane. You have to pull it out or they'll burn the entire prison down.
But why rip it out like that, while they're still awake?
It's faster that way.
I slammed my hand against the wall of the cell and caused Babali to jump. My heart crept up into my throat, and I curled up on the ground, unsure of everything I had just experienced. Sakita had given me food. Food from my hometown. And at the same time, he allowed his workers to torture people alive.
So this yobe thing, does it happen all the time?
Babali asked. Only when I get overwhelmed, I said, lying back down. Seeing something tortured alive spooked me. On my planet, we believe all things are created out of love, so nothing should ever be harmed. Basically, let's see, two people, a priest and a priestess that use shadow magic and can come together to make a shadow wisp that uses the priest's close combat and the priestess's magic. Oh, that's cool. Love that. What are you working on, Ghost? Do you like writing fantasy stuff? That's awesome. Babali laughed. He laughed so hard he nearly doubled over. He sat himself down in the corner and coughed. He laughed so hard. Wow, your people are fucked. How so? I spat. Eclipse kills things that are cute and full of love. If your planet has resources, which I'm sure it does, they'll keep you alive. Yeah, they'll keep you alive as long as it takes to figure your race out, see if you have any value to them. If you do, your people will be rounded up and shipped here, or to other research facilities in the galaxy. If not, kaboom! Your planet is wiped from the star map. What do you mean, kaboom? Babali covered his eyes with a hand and stood by the glass wall in the cell. They'll strip the planet dry of resources and then demo it to make room for a casino or something. The U-Bulk are next. Their glands are sold on black markets as a medical cure, and once the U-Bulk are off their planet, Eclipse is going to do the same thing. Fantasy swords, magic, and death. Love it. All good things. I normally write fantasy, so writing the science fiction has been, like, really difficult for me, because I don't write sci-fi at all. So I'm trying to go through it and clean it up. Ghost, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the Retro Arcade. Good to have you. He's a monster, I muttered under my breath. The entire thing overwhelmed me. I remembered all the times I had been hurt back home, how many dangers lurked in the swamp.
and how many times the members of my planet would die for me. I imagined my home, the village, my friends engulfed in fire and reduced to ash. He's really good at his job, Babali said. That's why they chose him. I shouldn't have fucked over Flyby. I'd be out there right now doing my job, getting a good paycheck. You're sick. It's life. Don't turn around, I said as I shakily stood, using my trembling hands to undo the zipper at the back of my suit. I'm relieving myself. Rib Dremel. Alright, so let's do some proof editing here again, really fast. These chapters are much longer than my other chapters for most of the other stuff that I write. I forgot about that, truly. Alrighty, hopefully there won't be that many issues, but we'll see. So far, the pacing of this is good, but this is only like 2 chapters, really. So, not necessarily anything super special. That's an extra comma. Too many. I use Oxford commas way too much. Okay. I knew that that was gonna need a hyphen. I felt it in my butt, and then I didn't fix it when I saw it. It's gonna hate all of the striolin in this. I have a con laying in this, and it's gonna be like, what is that word? And I'm gonna be like, shh, 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 shh. That's not right. This we can get rid of. Let's see. If I can get this at least the grammar fixed, then I'm happy. I'm probably gonna end up having to save up a little extra money to edit this just because it's so big. So what's your current project about, Ghost? What are you working on at the moment? Let's see. I'm gonna add dictionary. I'm probably not going to. Door of the cell. Oops, if I could type correctly. Heard Papali take a deep breath and the door of the cell clicked there. That's, yeah, that is better. Better flow. What the fuck is that? A word? No, the fuck it ain't. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. No, they speak so much more Striolin later on in this too, so it's gonna be pretty bad. Can you imagine a little rat that just breathes fire, though? Because... That's the U-bulk. I'm gonna add star map. Okay, there we go. Let's move on to chapter 3.
Keep it up. Get out. The guards, the regular ones, made their rounds. It was nearly time for prisoners to be released to the yard. I can't let them hurt my family. They marched along the walk like they were the kings of the world. Gods. The inmates screamed as they passed, but after 4 days, the screaming did not bother me anymore. Cal says, bless you, Jace. I don't think he can hear me either. He's zoned in on homework. I need to find some way to get out. The door to the cell clicked open and I set my tray down. They gave Babali and I 2 meals a day now. Babali got the usual prison slop, and this morning I got a plate of river worms and algae. Babali seemed disgusted that I would eat live, wriggling bugs, but I savored them. Back home, the worms were a delicacy and only available during the rainy season. Why? Why treat me if he was going to kill me and everyone I loved? The guards did not stop me as I walked out of my cell that day, no doubt given permission by General Sakito, but Babali left me behind as he jogged down to the yard. I walked slowly with my eyes to the ground as many other beings passed me, beings of various races and creeds. I did not know the names of hardly any of them. I pulled my mask up over my mouth as the general had instructed and hoped to be invisible. Before I got too far, a guard that looked like Babali wearing a giant suit made of metal grabbed my arm. The grip was so strong I was forced to stop, and I felt my skin bruise. You, he barked, Strelin. If I see you smearing your skin on anything, or if you try to take your suit off, you'll be dead before you take your next breath. You hear? Yes, I said. Yes, what? Yes, officer? The confusion in my voice came across in my speech, and he threw me forward into another inmate. The inmate huffed, and I looked up to meet a jaw full of sharp, powerful teeth. A hole on the side of their neck rumbled as they breathed, and they shoved me back away from them into the railing, which I hit hard. The metal rang out, and I rubbed my back, feeling a bruise there, too. The monster lowered itself onto all fours and lumbered off, ignoring me, and I shakily avoided touching or bumping anyone else on the way down to the yard. Down many flights of stairs, I finally reached... Let's see. I don't like that. I finally reached the other inmates. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I finally reached the space where we were allowed free time. Equipment stood around edges of the room, and the ceiling lit up with panels that showed a fake blue sky. Some creatures that wandered wore masks over their faces, hooked to massive breathing systems, and others sat in chairs attached to wires, completely immobile. Those that could move used the equipment to entertain themselves or sat and played games at tables. Flyby was in full force, swapping things in and out of his jacket and smiling like the king of the universe. I spotted Babali at the far end of the yard, chatting with other guards of his same species who laughed and slugged him on the arm. Other prisoners avoided him, and most kept to established groups either of the same species or potentially friends. There was no one else in the entire place that looked like me. One of the walls flickered, and the many panels illuminated to reveal General Sakita's face. He sat in his office flanked by his 2 guards, and when the prisoners saw him, they immediately rioted. Prisoners began to clump together in the yard, screaming and shouting. A large creature like the one I bumped earlier bellowed out a call and threw itself, charging at the panel, cracking it. Now, General Sakita's voice rang out over the disharmony. You all know better. A guard, the same guard that had grabbed me, pulled a large plasma stick out from his mechanical suit and began to wail on the prisoner that broke the panel. The thing's reptile flesh broke under the weight of the stick. Blam! The guard did not stop. Blam! Waves of electricity shot from the stick and immobilized the prisoner. Let me get some exclamation points in here because I think that's better. I'm here to deliver a message to you all from Eclipse, General Sakita said. Well, let's see. I'm actually going to do this like this. The guard continued to beat the prisoner even though they no longer posed a threat.
More prisoners will be coming. I know, we're over capacity, so that means some of you are going to have to go through to a cell. Actually, I can keep this. Blam! The prisoners cried out in opposition, but General Sakita put his hand up. It's all in the name of science, he said. Blam! And now a message directly from the Chancellor themselves. The screen flickered, and the guard finally stopped hitting the prisoner. Green blood coated the guard, the mechanical suit, and the stick. The splatter scattered along the wall and on the floor. The prisoner lay there, motionless, and I suspected dead. The screen blared music, something upbeat, and images of Eclipsean soldiers marching, giving out food, and exploring planets flashed across panels. Eclipse, a voice announced. Righteous, superior, inquirers of all the secrets of the universe. Our mission is to unify the galaxy under one glorious banner. Cut your prison time short. Sign up with one of your correctional officers today. Many prisoners scoffed and made rude gestures at the screen. Fuck off! One shouted. The message played again on repeat, and the prisoners dispersed, going back to what they had been doing before General Sakita interrupted them. I backed away from the prisoners, pushing and shoving their way past me, chatting and mumbling with their friends in languages I did not understand. As I stood, I realized almost everyone was deformed in some way. The little rats, the Ubulk, all had streaks in their fur, patches on their necks where fur no longer grew. They chittered and squeaked, trading items among themselves with respirators over their mouths. Flyby, seemingly the only one of his species as well, milled about, speaking in trade to those who spoke it, ignoring those who did not. I feel like I need more context here. Let me see. I'm trying to think about who else is actually in here. Here, I'll add a sentence for some other species there. I feel like it seems like she was going to go into a list and then didn't, so. The large creatures on all fours milled about, scars on their bodies and masks with blinders over their faces. Flyby, seemingly the only one of his species as well, milled about, speaking in trade to those who spoke it, ignoring those who did not. Yep, that was supposed to be capitalized. There we go. Humans were scarce. I wondered if they held no value to whatever Eclipse was doing. Suddenly, as I stood there among the sea of bodies moving past and settling, I felt incredibly alone. No other Striolan that I could see moved about, and I wondered if I would ever see my home planet again. Sakita seemed to use this place for research, but Babali called it a prison. Which was true, really. Perhaps both. I turned to find an empty place to sit and slammed directly into something scratchy and hard. When I looked up, I realized my face had met the chest of someone's suit. They were clad the same as I, the being I faced, though with a helmet filled with water. Their face scrunched. Let's see. Behind the glass mask of their suit, and they put their arms out as though they were going to hit me. Through a speaker in their throat, the person spat. Honestly? Watch where you're going, Muche. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I said, tripping over my own feet. I turned too quickly. The being was tall and looked similar to me. They breathed through slots on their throat, and their scaled hands were visible. Actually, you know what? This doesn't make track a whole lot of sense here.
Okay, better. Needing water to breathe, their speech could not come out of their mouth. Something Babali had said to me earlier struck me. He asked if I needed any modifications to speak, and I wondered if this person in front of me could speak at all, or if the suit was doing all of the work. I had never seen anything like them. Don't ever touch me, they barked and shoved me away from them. Keep your slimy hands to yourself. I'm so sorry. The person put their arms out and puffed their chest up. In their helmet, frills fanned out from the sides of their faces in shades of electric yellow, and the water inside began to crackle with shards of lightning. I don't know where you think you're from, little jute, but you're not home now. I have 10 antagonists ready for my story. As for good guys, I have 2. Just 2. That's wonderful. I love that. I like books with high stakes like that, where the odds are like really bad. That sounds awesome. Boys, boys, boys. Someone cooed and patted their hands on my shoulders. They stood wow, do I want to use smaller or shorter? I think shorter is fine. They stood shorter than me and I tensed as they touched me. Everyone here was out for blood. Do you honestly want to risk you losing your free yard time over a little accident? People make messes all the time. I mean, look at Gorb over there. I felt the person's hand move behind me and I followed a pointed finger to one of the large creatures that I had run into before. It stood on all fours, knees bowed, and it panted heavily. Their back heaved up and down. I'm going to use haunches here, actually. And their tongue lolled out of their mouth, drooping down feet away from their teeth. A puddle of drool collected at their feet, and a little rat person slipped in it as they passed. He drools all the fucking time, and you don't see anyone complaining about him. The person behind me continued. Don't fucking touch me again. The prisoner in the helmet spat before they turned and stormed off. A hand fell onto my shoulder, and I heaved a sigh of relief. You gotta watch out, kid, they said. You're gonna get yourself killed. I turned and met the eyes of a human. Their hair had been crudely cut on the side, showcasing a maze of scars, and their voice grated like one who shouted too much. They put a hand out for me, a human custom I had seen practiced on my home planet by Eclipsean soldiers, and I took it. Thank you for helping me, I said. It speaks, they replied, and gestured toward a table that was relatively unoccupied. Want to sit? That way you can stay away from everyone else. I appreciate the offer. I know no one else here, I replied. We walked together and sat on the hard table, its cold surface permeating even my thick suit. I felt the suit hum and a heater kicked on, warming my body back to a suitable temperature. It kept me comfortable, and I wondered if it was a luxury or if it only existed to keep me alive. At the table, another creature sat, massive and thick, purple and leathery in color. Their strong arms flexed from anticipation, tight muscles dense enough to snap me in half. The human slammed a hand on the table and laughed. 3 amigos now. Ilvara, check this guy out. Their colors are super pretty. The hulking figure turned and looked over their shoulder at me with steely eyes, and then returned to whatever was in their hands. Don't mind her, the human said. She's pretty shy around new people. It took me forever to get her to say anything at all to me. My name's Chehaya. Nice to meet you, I said. I'm Drema. Well, Drema, where are you from? I call my planet Calgesio, but General Sakita called it something else. And what are you, exactly, love? Striolan. Yup, no idea what that is. You're pretty, though. What's your suit for? My skin is toxic. I can very easily kill creatures of my size or smaller with it. It's also keeping me wet and warm, so there's that. Ooh, spooky. They're letting you use your fingers? What if you break out of your suit? They had me bound up at first, but I couldn't eat. I was given this new suit. General Sakita is fine with it as long as I don't hurt anyone. Huh. Chehaya said and drummed their fingers on the table. The drum came in sets of 4s as they missed their ring finger on their right hand. Is this your first time in prison? On my home planet, we don't have any prison. Our people live lives of respect. I mean, there are some tribes that will occasionally steal and eat children, but for the most part, everyone would rather die than harm one another. Sounds idyllic. Well, I'm sorry Eclipse raided into your hometown and abducted you. So far, my favorite is this giant 8-foot-tall knight with shadow magic, teleports through the shadows, uses purple lightning. She's dumb, but she has a short guy, her childhood friend, who follows her. And he's smart but weak in melee, so he uses gravity magic. Oh, I love that. That sounds like such a great dynamic character combo. That's awesome. I love, like, tall friend, small friend. That's great. He could be a murderer. Ylvara spat, gravel on her tongue. Chehaya laughed, long, loud, and hard. Look at him, Ylvara, they said. Does he look like a murderer to you? Ylvara's face fell, her 4 eyes blinking cautiously as she returned to the thing in her lap again. Discs of blue floated in black as she gazed downward, mysterious like gemstones in ink. I could not see what she held behind the table, even when I shifted my weight forward and I did not want to pry. How long have you been here? Chehaya asked. I'm not sure, honestly. I know that there have been more than 3 daily meals given at the very least. I do not know how time works here. The tall girl is super hardworking while the short friend is just lazy. Oh my god. They're bad guys, by the way. That's awesome. That sounds fun. I love writing villains. Eclipse uses intergalactic standard time, though that probably means nothing to you. Chehaya picked at a string on their sleeve. What does Eclipse want with you? Do you know? I shrugged and rested my elbows on the cold table. Honestly, no clue. My planet is lush and fertile, a great place for gathering resources, so it's most likely nothing more than that. But he kept you, though, they said. Eclipse will only keep you if they want something from you. I thought of the rat on the operating table. He took photographs of me. He mentioned others who had assumed things about me that he was sent to look into. Even if the Zomarine haven't seen you, that means that you might be valuable to them. The Mimomua, for example, are totally gene-edited by the Zomarine. Their species didn't exist before they landed on Comia. And the Shirak, they were literally just goats before the Zomarine got their hands on them. If you all were effectively evolved when Eclipse came, I could see why he's interested. He won't tell me why I'm here. Yup, so you're a lab rat. That's what I thought. Bummer, honestly. The guy tends to chill and sits on the girl's shoulder. That's so awesome. I literally just watched an anime from my childhood where there's a girl with a big robot companion like that. It's great. That's so cool. Guards came and took away the body of the beast that had died. The blood of the thing, nearly black in color, smeared across the floor as it was taken away. I muttered a silent prayer for it, hoping that it was at peace now. Those things, I said as I pointed at Gorb, the beast with its mouth open. What are they? Osk. They come from a huge boulder-covered planet. Dumb as rocks, all of them. Unfortunately, they're strong as hell, which is why Eclipse keeps them here. My theory is they're trying to mutate them, turn them into weapons, you know. Chehaya rummaged around in the pocket of their jumpsuit for something and pulled out a palm-sized tin. They shook it around and opened it to reveal small white capsules. They popped one in their mouth and sucked on it. Want one? They asked as they offered me the box. What is it? Breathman. Here. They held the box out to Ylvara, who took one and ate it, crunching it with her teeth. I better not, I said. I've not heard of them and have never eaten them. It might kill me. Smart boy, they said and pocketed the tin. What are you two in here for? Chehaya leaned against Yelvara's large back on the bench and put their feet up on the table. Smuggling Eclipsean weapons. I used to run high-tech weapons and other stuff to Animus. Animus? The Resistance. Man, you really didn't get any news on your planet, did you? We didn't even know other people were out there until Eclipse came. Well, shit, they said. I mean, that's pretty much my whole story. Yelvara doesn't like to talk about it. Yelvara slumped over on the bench and growled to herself as she worked, and Chehaya looked up at the false sky. Man, what I wouldn't give to see the sky again. How long have you been here? I asked, leaning my head into my hand. The breath mint in Chehaya's mouth was strong and smelled nice. They scoffed. Years? A decade? Hard to say. Time means nothing in here. A long-ass time, though. I'm so sorry. Me too. I should be out there, helping people fight this atrocity, kill the system, but I'm stuck in here. Eclipse didn't like the mess that I made. This prison is where they put people to die. Am I going to die? Chehaya and Yelvara looked at each other, and Yelvara's face scrunched into something that looked a little bit like sadness. I don't want to say yes. Chehaya paused, but probably. I leaned in and lowered my voice, bringing my head close to the table. And there's no way to get out? To leave? Does no one ever leave? Chehaya shook their head no. I've never seen anyone get off this ship. Don't get your hopes up. It'll just make it harder. Stretch! Everybody stretch! Leader the Witch has commanded it. Stretch your body. Don't be a shrimp. There was also this fire priest in bright red knight armor with 2 flaming swords and a fire familiar on his back holding 2 more swords. Amazing. You truly can never have enough swords. That's the lesson there. Okay, let's see. I hate that grammar rule. Oops. Whee! How do we feel about the pacing so far, y'all? Any notes? Anything? Eclipse. That was awkward. Never enough swords. You're 100% right. Okay, almost there. I missed a whole ass word here. This is why Grammarly saves lives. I don't like that one. Heyo! Thank you so much for following, Tay. How are you? Welcome in, my friend. Welcome to Writing Stream. We're stuck in Grammar Town right now. Almost through for this chapter. Chapter 3 out of God knows how many. I don't remember. Can you guys hear my son? He's like scratching my desk for whatever reason. Tatsu, what are you doing, buddy? He's like, I don't know. You aren't paying attention to me, so obviously I have to scratch the desk. We are indeed in Word Town. The main character is an archer, but he's gonna lose his hand. Oh, rip. Brutal. Yeah, I don't know what he wants. He's been, like, extra weird since moving into the apartment. And he just, like... I don't know, he keeps, like, scratching at stuff. He's not really scratching it. He just kind of touches everything. And I think he's just bored. But I don't really know what to do about that, because he really didn't need, like, toys or anything in the other apartment? I don't know. Mystery. Alright. Chapter 4. Yep, see, now he's over there touching the other box. Sir. Sir, what do you want? Are you hungry for your foods? I don't know. Alright. Babali banged his head against the clear glass of the cell for the 4 millionth time. I rocked back and forth on my heels and drummed my fingers in a rhythm on the floor as I waited for yard time to come. Would you stop that? Babali spat. Would you stop smashing your head against the wall? It's pathetic. Babali pushed air through his lips and leaned his head against the glass. Chahea is teaching you to be a little shit. It had been nearly a week since I had met Chahea. They taught me a lot about Eclipse and how they worked. They told me all the things they had done in the Resistance and how much their home planet had meant to them. Earth, they said, was nothing more than a shell now. Mined clean and nothing but metal and dirt. Okay, but which... I need to figure out which colony Chahea is from. Let me just look at this really fast. I have recently written a premise for class. Because I don't think they're from Freeland. They're probably from the, like, the Lunar Dominion. Sir, please. What? Why do you do this? Your scratching post is right there. Mr. Man, what do you want? I don't know where your toys are. I don't know. They're packed up and I'm sure you're very angry about it. I don't know if you guys heard him. He's like under my desk. Okay, that's better. Earth, they said, was nothing more than a shell now, mined clean, and nothing but metal and dirt. They had come from a horrible place, the Lunar Dominion, where some humans now lived. Colonies, Chahea said they were called, were all that was left of the human race. Every other race that resided in the prison served some kind of purpose or was too dangerous to have wandering around outside. Those confined to the chairs, those incapable of movement and speech, were the worst. Veggies, Chehaya called them. They had been implanted with something to reduce their brains to soup, and automated machines kept them alive. That was the worst fate, when Eclipse decided that you caused too much trouble. The Finn was where we were, a huge vessel that floated just outside of Eclipse's home star system, Capella. The prison was officially called the CDV Atidoke, but no one referred to it as that. From the outside, apparently the ship rose like a giant knife, much like an ood on a fish, blocking the light from the nearby stars. I had only seen an eighth of the prison itself. Our wing was special, Chehaya said. There were entire wings of the Finn that were full of only veggies. They were easier to take care of that way. Our ward was unique, filled with high-level criminals, murderers, resistance fighters, dangerous species, traitors to Eclipse, or special interests. We floated around the smallest star in the Capella system, close to the planet Comia LPM8, Babali's home planet. This made the Finn easy to access by Eclipse, but far enough away to cease to be an eyesore. Your son is angry and wants attention. Yeah, well, he won't get up in my lap either, so I'm like, dude, what do you want? What does it mean? Jace, you want to go give our son some treats? I don't know if Jace can hear me. Maybe he can. Chehaya told me all about Babali's people, the Shirak, and what Babali was like when he worked for Eclipse. Oh, let's see. This is a lot of exposition. So here's the tricky bit, y'all, and let me know what you think of this. So I have an issue here. I want to add more world building to this thing because I want it to be more chunky than it already is. I don't like how much exposition this is, where effectively I'm just sitting here saying, people did this. This is where they live. This is how it works. You know what I mean? Like, that's bad. Exposition bad. So I have to figure out how to get all of this information into Drema's head. And now, granted, it's only like a page of exposition. Or two. So it's not like the worst. But I need something else that's not just exposition to communicate this information. But I also don't want it to be just like exposition like Dragon Ball style, like Dragon Ball Z style, where it's like two people are sitting in a room and they're like, talk, because that can happen in anime as well, where it's like they just dump a bunch of info on you via dialogue as well. You're right, a page or two isn't super bad, but I want to add in more information. And so that's where it becomes a problem. It's like, if I add more, how do I do that without it being boring as fuck? Actually, I think I know. Okay, so we're gonna add in a little bit here, because they were together in the cell here, so I can do that. Alright, how do I want her to start this dialogue? Okay, is she starting to use contractions now? Or not yet? I don't think not yet. She's not that comfortable with trade. She loosens up a little bit throughout the book. Here we go. Okay, let me see. Sorry, this is gross. This is a gross part of this, y'all. Guys, I'm so tired. I can feel my brain melting. I still have to do so much more work too. Other work. I don't wanna. I have to like catch up on school. And I have to do commissions too. I don't know what happened to me. Okay. I was like looking at my schedule. Ugh. Okay, I'm almost there. Because then also too, I add word count. This increases my word count by a lot. And gets rid of like a weird like exposition paragraph too. see here. Let me see. Yep, I consistently am drowning. Okay. What am I doing? I need to make sure that these parts flow okay together into themselves. There we go. Oh, yo, Chris, what's up? Hi. How are you? Okay, I think I got it. I think I figured it out. Just playing a cheek-clenching game of Overwatch. Oh boy. Don't you just love it? Like, you go into quick play and then you just, like, sweat for no reason. Okay, so let me read this and we'll see. Alright, backing it up. Backing it all the way up. Alright. Don't matter if it's comp or quick play. Never back down, never give up, right? Well, then people get so mad if you're like in quick play and you're actually trying to play the game. They're like, why are all these tryhards in quick play? And it's like, bruh, because we want to win? Like, I don't know. Why are you mad? Sorry, I don't want to just like throw my match? Hi, Tatsu. You want to come up here? Is that what you're thinking? Yeah, that's what I thought. Hi, bud. Oh, why are you clawing my hand? No. Aw, thanks for the follow, Chris. I appreciate it. I don't know how far, like, how close we are to our goal now. Huh. Getting punched in the mouth. Oh, pretty damn close. We're like literally 9 away from 400 followers. That's pretty insane. Nutsaroni. What the fuck am I doing? There we go. Better. All right. I wish that I could see the stars beyond my window or Komia in the distance. It would give me a better idea of where I was, how far away safety could be. I imagined escaping would be no small feat, which may have been why Chihaya had not tried. We could not do it alone. It wouldn't be so pathetic if you stood up to Sakita, I said, mostly to myself. I watched Babali give up on banging his head against the door and pace instead. Oh, hey, Mega Shark. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the Retro Arcade, y'all. Welcome in. How are you? Would you shut up? Babali spat. You know nothing about me. I know what I heard. The inmates talk. I did not lie. Everyone talked on the fin, and gossip spread like a disease. Babali chuckled and met my gaze, but I saw something there. Fear. Fear that he had been found out. Oh, yeah? I'm sure they say only good things. They say that everyone hated you. Most people are glad you're in here. Just desserts or something. It was Flyby's fault, he barked. I was just doing my job. I didn't know they were threatening to put Flyby in solitary. And Sakita didn't care? I'm not anyone important, Babali sighed as he sat onto my bunk. Did the Zomarane not care about the Shirak? Why would they? The Zomarane made you, didn't they? Teehee! It's time for teehee mode. And now we laugh. Mr. Cat, I can't see my screen. Sir, bruh. Come back onto my lap. Why do you do this? Come on. Oh my god. Sorry guys, I got cat butt in my way. Okay, I'm gonna lift your leg. Airlift the cat. Airlift the cat. Okay. The Zomarane made you, didn't they? Don't put it like that. Babali sneered. Wow. We were smart before they came. He faltered. We just needed a little push. I did not back down. A plan was brewing in my mind, but I needed to know as much as I could about everything around me. I recognized Chihaya's pessimism, but needed to know for sure that I could not escape. Explain, I demanded. Do you understand gene editing? The Zomaranians are experts in it. Well, that and biomechanics. When they found Komia, they didn't expect to find any life beyond bacteria, but we were there. After they screwed with our heads and our genes for a couple hundred years, eventually we learned how to speak and create. Society happened, and here we are. So you owe them. Oh, hey, Ava, what's going on? I'm doing all right. I'm so tired. But, doing okay. Just working on, editing some science fiction. Drinking a boba. Oh, nice. Pixelmon, that sounds fun. Sounds like a good time. Okay, I have no more boba left. It's just the blockies. Just the jellies. So you owe them. I don't own this or owe the Zomaranians shit. The Zomaranians were Sakita's people. And often, as Chihaya explained to me, Zomaranians held most, if not all, positions of authority in Eclipse. I had not been required to visit him since the day he gave me food. After that, he fed me through the chutes only, though the food was nice. Babali raved and hollered for days after my food came through the chute, and he was still was only offered prison gruel.
Day by day, he grew a little thinner and attempted to maintain himself with exercise, though I suspected he had not been the type to exercise before his imprisonment. My finger had nearly grown back, and the pain subsided to nothing more than an irritating twinge. I assumed that General Sakita would come to call very soon. It was only a matter of time. Eclipse started gaining traction, Chehaya said one day. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and separate this out. There we go, better. Eclipse started gaining traction, Chehaya said one day over an old box of stale crackers. People started supporting the idea of a united galaxy under one government. Eclipse touted a government led by science, ruled by reason. Technically, it's Shirok formed, but the Zons, a few Zomarane, and some humans took it over. The Zons are all dead now, I'm pretty sure, wiped out by a human cold, or so I hear. Their immune system couldn't handle it. I got the NB one, yo! Oh my god, Ava Street Fighter. Okay, I'm tired, but I'll do it. Okay, I'm gonna get down and do 10 push-ups. If you have the will or the desire to do so, you can also get down and do 10 exercises of your choosing, whether that be stretches, or squats, or jumping jacks, or whatever you like. I'm being buff. Give me a second. Oh my god, my arms are so sore from lifting stuff. Oh! I might have to leave soon. It's like 14 minutes to the next day. Oh yeah, it's late where you are. That's okay. I appreciate you stopping in still. Oh, my arms. All right. Oh boy. And of Sakita, I asked. He was bright, a poster child for Eclipse, top of his class. Lust for scientific pursuit. The mission of Eclipse is simple: spread knowledge and gain knowledge. What people didn't realize in the beginning was that they would gain knowledge by any means necessary. Any means necessary indeed. New prisoners came in every day, but we all knew where they went. Our ward was at capacity, and if they could not be stuffed anywhere else, they were tossed somewhere to die. Some inmates suspected mass incineration. Others, death by the vacuum of space. After talking with Chehaya, I realized what a horrible mess I was in. There was no way I was getting home unless I fought my way out. Here's the problem with that, sweetheart, Chehaya said as we finally met up after yard time began. First, if we're even caught talking about it, we're dead. So we speak in code, I replied. The Sok Pehem, we call it. It's a common name for a yearly fishing expedition for my people. Okay, so say we embark on this Sok Pehem. How do we get out into the ocean? We steal fishing vessels. Which ones? The ones meant to be used in emergencies. I passed by them one day while lapping the yard. The signs on the wall that Chehaya taught me to read pointed to emergency escapes. I assumed some kind of ship to be at the end of that sign, something to give the guards a way to safely evacuate if the fin decided to go down. Okay, so we decide that's the best fishing vessel, Chehaya mused, leaning against Ilvara's back on the bench. Chehaya's head bobbed as Ilvara chipped away at something in her lap. Those types of fishing boats, unfortunately, take keys. I assume all of the Nogo have keys. You'd not be wrong. It's not a physical key, though, my dear. It's a number. They change it every day. It's randomly generated, and the Nogo are given new ones each morning. You know who would be able to get that key for us? All our sets of eyes moved to Babali, who chatted with other Shiraka guards. Trying to worm his way out of his sentence. Ilvara burst into laughter, deep, hollow, and heavy. He's such an ass, Drema, she said. What makes you think he'd ever give us flight codes? I don't know, I muttered, realizing the stupidity of my plan. Maybe he wants to get out into the ocean as badly as we do. If it was a physical key, I could just take them without them even missing it, Chehaya sighed, picking a fuzz from Ilvara's jumpsuit. Lovely Ilvara knows how to steer a fishing vessel, and I hear she's wicked at it.
Ilvara's leathery flesh flushed a brilliant red at the corners of her eyes and down the crest of her head where her long quills used to be. That is, until Sakita cut them off. Not that wicked, Chehaya, she muttered. Only decent. Only decent? Chehaya huffed and sat up, crossing their arms. I heard you could shoot through a cockpit shield and directly through the eye of the pilot. Don't tell me the rumors aren't true. Well, Ilvara mused, revealing large, square, flat teeth and a smile. I mean, maybe I did that once or twice. Chehaya pecked Ilvara on the arm with their lips and sat up straight at the table. What are you working on today, sweetheart? Ilvara stuffed something into her pocket and then brought her hands up to the table, cupped as though she had caught a bug. She opened it to reveal a small hunk of wood that she intricately carved into a little four-legged animal. Aw, how cute! Chehaya cooed and rolled the figurine over in Ilvara's hands. What's this animal called again? Dinib. It makes Nuyi, something we drink. I had one on my farm. Aw, a little like cows used to be, Chehaya mused. This is really cute. Ilvara, keep up the great work. You're so talented. Ilvara's face scrunched into a toothless smile. She pulled a tool from her pocket that I still could not see and got back to work. Suddenly, the Yobe began to take me, and my arms tensed, which only could mean something bad was about to happen. I paused and ducked my head just in time as something flew over. The moment looking back on it happened very quickly, but I remember it feeling a lot slower. Someone's body passed over the top of my head, their jumpsuits swishing as it passed, and I ducked out of the way just in time. The body had arced over Ilvara's hunched shoulders, over my head, and then into the ground. Something came after, large and mechanical, and it landed behind me with a scrape as its metallic feet skidded across the metal floor. I gulped in large breaths of air, attempting to stop the Yobe in its tracks. Guards, blood, death, danger. Guards, blood, death, danger. I grabbed the side of my head and as I felt the Yobe start at the base of my spine. I remembered the time I made my brother laugh so hard he shot water out of his nose. Everybody sit up! Don't shrimp! Lear has demanded it. I was kind of shrimpy, so don't be like me. I remembered my Gesut, my mother's mother, and how she used to weave baskets. I remembered the way Chehaya's breath mint smelled. Also hydrate, everybody. Water, coffee, soda, tea, any drink of beverage of choice. I drank water. I spun. Around and Chehaya stood, their fingers twitching in anticipation. The Bali lay on the floor, a streak of blood where he had skidded, and another Shiraka guard in a mech suit. Shiraki guard in a mech suit shifted their shoulders, shimmying their armor. They were different than Babali in the sense that their horns were smaller, and they were considerably smaller in stature, but I was sure they were Shirak. I'm gonna do that instead. The guard... No, never mind. Shiraki, that's fine. The guard pulled out a plasma stick and hit it in their large metal hands. Sending sparks off it like stars. You want to say that again to my face? They demanded. Lusa, wait now, Babali stammered. Just wait a minute. Rip Babali. Lusa did not give Babali a moment's hesitation. They slammed the plasma stick into Babali's gut and punted him across the yard. Chehaya vaulted the table and went to rush into the scene, but Ilvara stopped them. She put her large hand over Chehaya's shoulder and shook her head. Babali stood shakily and put his fists up as if to fight. He looked pitiful, really. He was thinner than when I had first met him, arms scrawny and weak. Outside of the mech, Babali may have taken the guard in a fair fight, but this was not a fair fight. Babali wiped blood away from his mouth and braced himself. You heard what I said, Sel Subi. You belong in a Jara, you piece of... The guard backhanded him into a wall, and Babali hit it so hard the wall paneling dented under his weight. Chehaya tightened their hand into a fist, and we watched as the guard relentlessly bashed their prey. Babali was beaten bloody until I could not stand it any longer. The guard pulled back for another blow, and I dashed for it. I pushed the yobe deep down inside me and ignored it for once in my life. I skidded my way in front of the guard's fist and threw myself in front of Babali's battered body. "Stop!" I shouted. "For the love of Rebbepahem, stop!" "Move out of the way, prisoner," the guard ordered. "Lusa, was that your name?" I said move. "Babali is an asshole, as you say in trade, but he doesn't deserve to die. Whatever he said to you, I'm sorry. Please accept his apology on my behalf." "What the fuck?" Lusa said as they shifted in their mech. Another guard, a human, approached and put an arm on their mech. Or I'm gonna say machine. "He's right, Lusa. Babali's only gotten worse in the slammer. Let's forget about him," he said. "He'll die in here soon anyway." Lusa scratched the feet of their mech onto the ground and growled out, returning to their post, the human following. Chehaya rushed to my side the moment the scene cleared and picked Babali, who was unconscious, up off the floor into their lap. "Crap, crap, crap," they said. "Does anyone have any water?" Ilvara rushed in the opposite direction, and Chehaya used the sleeve of their jumper to dab at the corner of Babali's mouth. One of his horns had snapped clear off and lay on the ground near the wall where he hit, and his eyes fluttered. I considered that a good sign. Hopefully he was still alive. Ilvara returned moments later with a cup of water that she had probably stolen from someone else and splashed it onto Babali's face, who spluttered when it hit his mouth. "Ilvara, dear, could you please go and get a responsible guard with a med kit? Avoid Shirak if you can." Babali gasped and reeled, trying to sit up, and Chehaya put a hand on his chest to keep him from going too far. "Easy, partner, just sit tight. Someone's coming with a med kit." "That piece of shit," he said as he spat out a tooth. It rattled onto the floor and skidded through the blood streak he had made. "Now, I wouldn't go bad-mouthing her anymore, stranger. She just kicked your ass. You're lucky you're not dead." Chehaya felt their way across Babali's chest with delicate fingers and stopped when he winced. "We got some broken ribs, it seems. I would highly recommend not doing anything like that again." "What's your name?" "Babali." "Babali, I'm Chehaya. Delighted to meet you under strange and violent circumstances." "You stopped her?" Babali looked at me through a swollen eyelid. "Why would you do something like that?" "In my tribe, if a Kokirju attacks another, they're immediately exiled. I can't imagine the pain of someone like you attacking you," I replied. "You must have said something real nasty to her, Babali," Chehaya said as they kept their eyes out for Ilvara. "She's not doing her job. She's not helping me get out of here." Babali coughed. "Since when is it her job to do that for you? Last I checked, you were the prisoner and she was in charge." Babali's face curled up in disgust again, and he spat onto the ground, sitting up. Ilvara returned with a guard and a wheeled cart that moved on its own. "Help me lift him," the guard said, and Ilvara, as delicately as she could, lifted Babali's mangled frame onto the cart. The guard left, wheeling Babali behind him, and I laced my fingers together in worry. "Are they going to kill him?" I asked. "To be honest," Chehaya said as they wiped their bloodied hands onto their jumpsuit, "I have no clue." "At least he lived?" "I guess. Hooray?" "Yippee!" "It's not Babali's fault he's dumb. It's because he keeps disrupting the natural hierarchy." Okay, grammar time. "Not for long if I know you and your writing." Actually, surprisingly, Babali survives the entire fucking time, so he gets an A. I can say with certainty, Babali does live. Yep, he really does. He really does. But not without a lot of fighting. There are definitely people who do not make it, but the main cast here, fortunately, is not any of them. There's a lot of stuff that it flagged that I don't want to change. Babali is an asshole and an idiot, but not that bad. I can't believe Babali tried to fight somebody in a mech, though. That's just funny to me. He's like, maybe if I punch it really hard. He did call her a whore, and then told her in his own language that he thinks that she belongs in a whorehouse, which is also not cool. So that's why she slapped him with a metal hand. Punch it hard like Fat Alice, I can. Alright, we're making it happen. We're 50 pages through this thing so far. So far, nothing super bad has, like, jumped out at me. But we'll see. I only have like 15 more minutes. I actually think I'm just gonna call it here, and know that at chapter 5, like, this is a good place to start and end it. So is this someone else's work that you're editing or yours? This is mine. This is called Fatal Mechanisms, and it is a science fiction about fascism and prisons. Hopefully this will come out probably like 2027, I think, is like what I'm slated at with my, I think, my publishing schedule. Let me look at it. Yeah, because Mirror Gaze came out this year. Court of Snakes 2 is coming out. '26. Yep. And then, yep, this will come out 2027. So I'm a little ahead of the curve, but I like to do all my editing and stuff leisurely, and this thing is technically still in a draft, so I need to add a lot more world building and things. I just haven't read this in a minute. I've been working on this since like 2018, I think. But yep, this is mine. But yeah, I'll be back working on this again next week. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming Heaven's Equal tomorrow. It really depends on how much work I get done today with class and things like that. I don't know. I might be okay. I have a lot of school to do, but I do have to write an article, so depends on how it goes. But I did want to say thank you so much to everybody who popped into the stream today. You all are absolutely fantastic. Especially thank you so much to Mega Shark for following. Also Chris, Tay, thank you for the follow. Goes to the Reaper, thanks so much for the follow. You all are amazing. We are slowly inching toward that 400 follow goal over here on Twitch, and if we make it, I'm going to be doing a giveaway, and it's going to be super fun. As of right now, I have planned a One Pale Reflection giveaway, and I'm going to be giving away a variety of OPR merchandise to a lucky Twitch viewer on a special stream day. So let's keep pushing for that. It's going to be awesome. I appreciate you all, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day. Stay cool out there. I know the summer is hot, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.